Like if somebody calls me, a friend of mine, and says, hey, I was just with Josh, and then Josh was mad. Who's Josh? Like never introducing Josh before to me. Just, I don't know how people do that. Who is Josh? Don't tell me this unless I know who Josh is.
An I can't attitude and laziness. Being a part of a big family, those things are just not really acceptable. You know, my parents, they wake us up at the crack of dawn. You got chores, you know, you gotta go take out the dog, take out the trash, mow the lawn, whatever. And you get it where you fit in, you know what I'm saying? You pull your weight. I couldn't really imagine having, you know, tribe mates where, you know, the shelter ain't been built, we don't have no water, we don't have any fire, and you're just kind of relaxing, chilling in the water. I'm hoping that I end up on a tribe with just some workhorses that it's just second nature to them, like maybe some farm boys or something like that. But we'll see.
When my husband leaves the door unlocked, that is a big pet peeve. I'm like, you gotta lock the door. Someone's gonna come in and take our things or take us. I don't know. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. I'm like, just lock the door.
My biggest pet peeves are just any type of waste, like wasting time, wasting money, wasting like potential opportunity. Like, you know, maybe it's because of my econ background. Like I just can't handle waste. And I guess besides that, like I really hate like banana flavored things. Like, you know, you pick it up and you think it's a lemon flavored item and then it's banana, but you know, I can't waste it. So I'll still eat it, but it just sucks.
I'm from New York, so anything moving slow or like inefficiency in any way is definitely my pet peeve. Like slow walkers, slow grocery store line. Like I try to keep calm, but you know.
Oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna give you two. One of them is quite literally so petty, and I'm aware and it's irrational, but I would say I'm a pretty brisk walker. And when I'm walking out and about in Los Angeles and people walk slowly and then take up the whole sidewalk, so you're forced to also walk slowly behind them. I don't know why, it gets under my skin. I have no issue if you're walking slowly and you like leave room on the sidewalk for other people to walk. It's just if you're like right in the middle of everything. So that's the first one. The second pet peeve is more so just like, I would say an annoyance that pops up in my day-to-day life, which is that I make a lot of puns. I actually, fun fact, I used to do competitive punning. I'm the youngest International Pun Championships award winner in history. And I slip in a lot of puns into my daily speech that people don't pick up on. So then what happens is like, okay, we're like drinking soup. And I'm like, that soup is super good. It just sounds like I've said something with a weird inflection. And people are like, yeah, it's good. So I don't know if that counts as a pet peeve, but it's something that pops up in my life. And then it's like an awkward moment where you're like, do I over-explain the joke now? Or do I just let it sit and pretend it never happened?
The oh my God, exclamation point autocorrect. I've just got an iPhone. My old one didn't used to do this. It does this now constantly. And it really grinds me up because then I got a backspace. I was going to put spiritual weakness for my pet peeve because I thought it was funny. And then I was like, maybe it's too much. But I like people who are strong of spirit. And so if you're like a baby, you know, that's a little lame. I mean, perhaps hypocritical because I can be a bit of a baby, but it stands.
My biggest pet peeves, I don't like being micromanaged. That's a little bit more personal, but I also don't like road ragers because I feel like that just represents them in life. Like if you're upset because someone cut you off and you're like, you stick out your middle finger at them, like, what does that say about you? Like, dude, like go find a better job or something. Like go do something with your life. Chewing with mouth open, I hate that. And obviously I got that since I'm growing up. My parents, like, they always taught us to say, please, thank you, like, chew with your mouth closed. If you're going to go over someone's house, ask them if you can have a cup of water, never open the fridge, things like that. So I would say those are maybe top 3 pet peeves. Oh, and petty people. I don't like petty people. I think that's like the worst trait that you can have.
Not finishing your task. If you say you're going to do something and you have to it, and I just see it not getting done, for some reason, it can be a little bit irritating, but I don't let it get to me as bad as it used to. You know, with my Tai Chi and my breathing and all that stuff, it helps a lot, but that would be a big pet peeve. So if we're like on the island and you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'll go get the logs in the wood, but you didn't bring anything back, or you might have brought like 5 sticks back because you're really out there looking for an immunity idol. That to me right there would be a pet peeve. Like, at least bring back all the wood and an idol, like if you're going to do it.
My biggest pet peeves are definitely like the sound of chewing. I have a visceral reaction to it, and there's a word, it's called something like misophonia. Like, it's a thing. I feel validated. There's a word for it. It's a thing. And then also any kind of like narcissistic vibes. I just like have a hard time with that kind of personality archetype, which, they do well on the show in the beginning, typically because they can like provide and build shelter, but like everything in me screams, get away from me. Like, I hate being condescended.
I'm actually a really irritable person. I hate that aspect of myself. I really wish I wasn't like this, but I get very irritated very quickly by any number of things. So if somebody is singing, irritated, chewing too loudly, irritated. If you're being too serious, probably irritated at you. If you're making too many jokes, probably irritated. Mildly uncomfortable, mildly moist, probably irritated. In fact, I feel like a good way to describe my personality is I am both happy and irritated at the same time, constantly.
My biggest pet peeve, and I said it before, is when people grind their teeth on their fork. And I had to actually explain that because people are like, I don't know what that means. When you close your mouth on your fork and bite down and shing, you bring that fork out, that drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. My wife would say that there's probably 9 others, but that's my biggest pet peeve that I have.
I hate when people aren't like ready to hear out all ideas. If your way is the right way, it will still be right after you hear the wrong way. And so like there's no need to not hear people out and their thoughts and different ideas. There's literally no advantage to it. You come across as and you're probably less enlightened.
When people make loud noises when they're chewing, it creates like this obviously like unreasonable rage inside of me. I'm just like get so pissed off. And then, I can't stand snoring either, which is like, it gets me unreasonably pissed off, which is like unfortunate for me because I've stayed in a lot of hostels and I'm about to go sleep on a beach with a bunch of strangers I don't know. Chances are some of them are going to be snoring and I'm going to have to like not react, not be too pissed off at something they can't control.
Now I've got a lot of family. I've got a daughter. I've got nieces, sister, mother, but we do a lot of family vacations. I hate hair on a hairbrush. Brush your hair. Clean the hairbrush. Clean it. I hate loud slurping. And I know there's that word for it, but the loud chewing thing, especially on the phone, it could be more than just a pet peeve. It could be an illness, but it bothers me like crazy.
My biggest pet peeve in the world is when somebody's telling a story and they say people's names in the story and they don't introduce who that person is. Like if somebody calls me, a friend of mine, and says, hey, I was just with Josh, and then Josh was mad. Who's Josh? Like never introducing Josh before to me. Just, I don't know how people do that. And I call it out immediately. I have, I like to think I have some social awareness. I lose it all in that moment. I'm just like, who is Josh? Don't tell me this unless I know who Josh is.
My one biggest pet peeve is definitely when you walk up to a urinal, you're going to the bathroom, someone else comes in, the whole row is open, and they take the one right next to you. It's like, bro, give me some space.
Pet peeves in life, slow walkers, slow talkers. Just get out the way if you're not knowing where you're going. Like, I really get annoyed walking, but that may be just being in New York for the last 5-6 years. And like people who just ooze privilege. Like, I hate people who are just like, I have no thought in my brain about another person. Like somebody who might be in a small space and yawn with their mouth open and not cover it. It's like, we're all here. Like, just think of other people sometimes. Like, I hate it when people don't do that.